Hey there, everyone. So, this is another little thing I'm doing on the fly here, and maybe this is about to come off more as a rant or a ramble, but I feel like it's important just to talk about this and get this out here, and that's the fact of, I guess, game preservation. And this popped up because of, well, if you haven't heard, the stores to the PS3, PlayStation Vita, and PSP are getting shut down, and, I know it just had me sitting here thinking for a bit, and I think more should be done about trying to keep games alive, or at least on Sony's part, they should be keeping more of an actual effort to, you know, keep games available on their stores digitally across all platforms and working on backwards compatibility and whatnot. Because, it's a shame that there's about to be a lot of cool games out there lost, a lot of accessibility out there cut off from you. It's just kind of a shame to think of, really. And I wanted to go into this with the point of, it's really a pain in the butt as is to try and get your hands on a lot of physical copies of games, and to just see them kind of disappear from PS3 and everything. Wow. For a lot of people, it's gonna only leave the option of, well, I guess I can't try this thing, or gonna have to go to jailbreaking or something. And it's kind of crazy. I just want to speak on this because, realizing that I've got so many games here just from the PS3 that it's gonna become a real pain in the butt to try and play these without digging out, going to local game stores or whatever, or risk buying something online that may show up unusable or who knows what. So, for example, these are big titles and they haven't made a return to any other later gens. Take the infamous 1 and 2. These are probably my favorite superhero games right here. Amazing titles, and not to mention there's a standalone DLC game. I guarantee that when the stores shut down, you're never going to have a chance to play the infamous Festival of Blood again, for example. Cool little expansion. It's probably going to be gone. It wasn't on the disc. It was only a little voucher. And who knows if it's going to follow to the extent of, if you already have it in your library, you could re-download it, or not. Either way, if you wanted to try this later on when you found out about the series, sorry. Yeah, you like being told that, huh? Sorry, you're shit out of luck. No, I wouldn't. And take the Killzone series for example. Even more great games just gonna go away. You'd have to scrounge around and maybe find physical copies of these somewhere. And gradually this is going to be a case of who knows what the value of these things is going to become. Who would have imagined that so much of the GameCube library is now so expensive? And so many games on GameCube have not been able to get a remaster, remake, whatever. But there's one thing I do know for certain. The prices on them are getting ridiculous. The more time goes on, the higher they go. It's as simple as that. And let's take what else? Resistance games. These were kind of a big deal on PlayStation. What are you gonna do if you wanted to buy digital copies? The most immediate and fast accessible way to play these. Sorry. How about some of the best racing games of this past 10 years, past 15 years actually now? The MotorStorm series. Pacific Rift, I think, is one of the top 3 racing games of all time. Well, I hope you could manage to dig out a physical copy somewhere. And keep in mind, they're going out the door at GameStop at this point. GameStop is pushing PlayStation 3, 360 stuff out the door. Your only chance is secondhand local gaming stores, maybe pawn shops, or again, online where it's sketchy as hell trying to pull that off. It ain't comforting when you look at eBay and see the kind of listings on there all the time. Or you do get something in the mail successfully from Amazon, and oh, what do you know? It's completely crushed. Yeah, I've had that a decent number of times lately, and so have my friends all across the USA. That feels nice. And now, while this is also a little challenging to do, it was still very possible. My friends did this, in fact. Here's for you Gundam fans. Here's all the games that you never got to play during the era of PlayStation 3 because they were overseas in Japan only. After Gundam Crossfire, you know what happened? They cut the ties with the outside world of the Gundam series. Unicorn game. Side Stories game. Extreme Versus. The Breaker games. I think 2 is a really good game, in some ways better than 3. UC Battle Record 0081, the game that Crossfire should have been. A very good game. Sorry. You better find a physical copy. Or, again, Jailbreak. I'm trying to encourage piracy, but what choice do they leave you? And the case with Vita is even worse. Even these mainstream, big title games, which, may I say again, the Vita itself is actually an amazing console. You really should not write this thing off. It is such an amazing, cool little handheld system, and I think really beat the edge on the 3DS and DS in a lot of ways. And even now, some of these titles still holds up. I consider Killzone Shadowfall on PS4. That was a horrible game. But Mercenary, this is what we should have seen turned into a next-gen title. Good game here. Here's a major one. A mainline Uncharted game. Really cool game. I'm shocked they haven't made some attempt to bring this to consoles. Unit 13. Really cool third-person shooter. It's a lot of fun. Actually holds up really well. And then here's one of my imports, Phantasy Star Nova. If you like the Phantasy Star games, here you go. It's a great title too. And yet another Resistance game. I just kind of want to hammer it in that there should be more of an attempt to keep games alive. There are so many cool titles out there that you probably don't know of, or just shrugged off that, wait, hold up. You should give these a chance. They hold up great still, and you'd probably enjoy them. There's no need to write off a game just because you think it might be outdated or the graphics aren't as good as what you're used to now. And I gotta take a moment to commend Xbox on their efforts, at least. They really have been making a push, even with, original Xbox games. You could pop these in an Xbox One, and hey, I could play them. I could play one of my favorite other racing games, Burnout Revenge. I don't have to worry about having a 360. I can just pop that in on my Xbox One if I have it physically, or buy it off their store. This is the kind of effort that Sony needs to be making. This is the kind of effort that Nintendo needs to be making more. All around. I know it's probably over the top to expect. No, the entire library needs to stick around and be available for every generation forever. Who knows the sheer extent to it? Who knows, but it's worth giving it its all. Even obscure titles. Regardless of whatever your thoughts or feelings may be, maybe you're just shrugging all this off. Who knows? But I just kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it, that it's a real crying shame that this sort of thing is happening. And one final little detail, just to kind of rub, I guess, a little more salt in the wound, what's been going on is, they found out that with the PS4, for example, too, where if you don't, so there's an internal clock in it that runs on a battery or something, apparently. If that goes out, your console, while it still works, is more or less bricked. It will not play games anymore. I'll put an article on screen about that, but how would you like to know that you could lose all of that over something so simple? The console works, but something internal broke, because it's tied to trophies, which is a big deal, and you lose all your games, basically. Because let's not forget, PS4, not all of those games play on PS5. I've got PT on that PS4 Pro, and a number of other great digital games as well. So, I don't know. It's a crappy situation. Just to be left with the thought of either hunt down games physically, as who knows how the price skyrockets on them anymore, or turn to jailbreaking and run the risk of jacking up your console. Or however that may weigh on your conscience, I don't know. But when it's the only option available, sometimes you feel like you ain't got no choice. So, yeah, it's a crappy situation. I genuinely think that there should be more of a push to keep stuff alive. But who knows? Maybe there's going to be some sort of expansion or a way to keep them alive on PSN over the next few years. Sony, for God's sakes, make more of an effort. Stop writing off backwards compatibility or keeping old stuff alive. It's worth doing. But yeah, with that, take care, everyone. I hope for those of you who have watched this, maybe it gave you something to think about or something to look into more. Do it while you still got time or a chance if you own these consoles. But that said, take care. Be safe, everyone out there. And see you next time. More Metal Musician Reacts, gameplay, and actually a retro review coming soon. So, see ya.